Hey everyone, my name is Michelle. I'm a therapist in the Seattle, Washington area with my practice, Next Chapter Counseling. And I'm going to be answering the question today of why can't I find anyone I actually am interested in with online dating? I hear this from clients sometimes where they're single, they're wanting to find love, so they're doing the online dating thing. They maybe have a profile on a couple different online dating apps or platforms, and basically they feel like they're not having much luck. And they come to me and they say, Michelle, why can't I find anybody who I'm actually excited about and who I feel like is actually eligible? Someone who I could really see myself with. I'm just not having any luck, and why is that? Well, there are a couple reasons. The first reason that I will say it is not is people sometimes want to think, well, there's just aren't enough people out there. And I think online dating proves that wrong right away. Unless you live in a very rural, remote area with a very small population, that is not true that there are not enough people out there. If anything, that's part of what makes online dating challenging and difficult, is because there are thousands of other people who use these platforms, these websites, these apps. There's lots of users out there. So it's not that there aren't enough people, because I can guarantee there are tons of people, and that may be part of why you're struggling, is to wade through everyone to get to someone who you think could actually be good for you. But if that's been one of the thoughts in your mind is, well, I'm not able to find anyone because there's just not enough people, definitely not so with online dating. Chances are, as much as I hate to say it, the reason why you might be struggling is because of something within you or something that you're doing, as hard of a pill as that is to swallow. So I'm going to go through 3 questions to ask yourself to see if these could be barriers for you for why you're not finding people that you're genuinely being interested in. So the first question to ask yourself is, are you putting in enough time? Online dating takes a lot of work to wade through all those people, as I mentioned just a moment ago. So sometimes I hear people, they treat their dating app like they treat Facebook, right? Like they scroll through when they have, 10 minutes here, maybe 30 minutes there. It's just, in a way, something to pass the time. And even though there are plenty of people out there also who spend far too much time online dating, they spend hours and hours a day, and it takes away from some other things in their life, a lot of people don't spend enough time. So I recommend setting aside about an hour, ideally every day, if you really want to devote a lot of time and energy into finding a match, about an hour a day to sit down, no other distractions, and to go through various profiles, to message people back, to reach out to people, about an hour a day to really make sure you're giving yourself enough time. If you're just scrolling through on your lunch break at work, that's probably not going to be enough time to actually find the people you could be good with. So that's the first question to ask yourself, is if you're putting in enough time. The second question to ask yourself is if you're putting in enough effort. Effort is different than time. This also happens a lot where, again, similar to what I just said about people treating it like Facebook, they're just scrolling. They're just scrolling through the app. They're swiping. They're just, passing through various profiles really quickly. What I mean by effort is to actually go in depth, read people's profiles, reach out to people you are interested in. Take the time to craft thoughtful responses to the people who are reaching out to you to see if you guys can actually get to know each other. So first you have to put in the time, but then you also have to put in the effort to dig a little bit deeper. You might not feel like you're finding people who are a good fit for you because you're not digging deep enough to find out if the two of you could actually be compatible. You might just be looking at them, looking at their, their profile picture and being like, I don't know if they're that attractive for me, like swipe. We can do this very quickly. So to actually put in more effort, it's kind of this quality over quantity type of an idea with dating, is to really make sure that you're trying to dive in during that time that you're setting aside to devote to online dating. So make sure you're actually putting an effort to figure out who this person is on the other side of the screen when you're looking at profiles. That can make a difference too, because after you do a little digging, you may be intrigued by something about someone that you wouldn't find out otherwise if you were just going through quickly. The final thing, though, the final and maybe the most important question to ask yourself, especially if you start putting in the time, especially if you're putting in the effort, if you're like, yep, Michelle, I've got those 2 things and I'm still not finding anyone. Why is that? One thing to check in with yourself about and to talk about with a therapist if you are in therapy is if part of you is afraid. Even though you do want to find love, you do want to find someone, a lot of people can be really scared about getting it wrong. They can be scared of putting forth time and effort to make a connection with somebody and then have that connection be a flop. They get really worried about this, especially if they were just dealing with a pretty major heartbreak and now they're trying to get back out there. People are scared of getting their hearts broken again. So sometimes what can happen is subconsciously thinking to yourself, I'm not going to move forward with anyone unless I make sure that that person is absolutely perfect. They have to check every single one of my boxes in order for me to even consider moving forward with them. And that means that it's not that the people on the dating side are the problem. It just means that you are setting standards for yourself to try to keep yourself safe. It is important to be discerning. It is important to have some kind of criteria when you're going through online dating to weed some people out who aren't going to be a good fit for you. But if somebody is checking most of your criteria, that might be someone to reach out to. If you have set a list of 20 criteria for yourself, and if someone's checking 19 out of 20 and you're going, nope, not good enough, then you are being too picky. And that pickiness is probably, like I was just talking about, stemming from a place of wanting to protect your heart and wanting to believe that you're not going to move forward unless somebody is perfect. And the reality is that nobody is perfect. All people have flaws, and when it comes to online dating, part of it is taking a chance on someone who has potential rather than trying to find the one perfect person that's out there for you. That's a needle in a haystack. So maybe try to let your guard down a little bit more and take a risk on somebody who seems to be, good enough rather than waiting around for the one person out of thousands of people who's going to be a perfect match. You're just going to keep waiting and your heart may still get broken in the end, unfortunately. So start taking some chances and recognize if fear may be holding you back from finding people who you could be a good match with. You just have to take a chance a little bit more. If you have a question for me about love or relationships, send it to me in an email, nextchapter.michelle@gmail.com, and I'll be back next week with another video. Thanks, everyone.